Hey guys, welcome to a new video. My name is Amber and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about going back to the beginning and trying to figure out what it is that really brought you joy in the first place when it comes to art. I've definitely brought a lot of limiting beliefs upon myself recently, and this video is just entirely me trying to go back to the beginning and enjoy the process, basically, like I made for my little title page here of my new sketchbook. I just wrote on there that remember the joy of creating is more important than the final result. Is that what I wrote? Yes, I had to go back then and just check in the video. So obviously I'm doing a voiceover today. If you've been watching any of my videos for the past year or so, you'll know that I don't think I've done a voiceover for, well, about a year actually. I used to do them all the time, and this is like another nice change up, I suppose, for me and for my channel, because this is how I first started my channel. And yeah, I suppose I'll talk all about it a little bit more, but I do talk about it in my last video where I sort of talk to you in real time about how I'm feeling about everything. So I guess you could say this is a bit of like a podcast style video, so you can just leave this on while you're doing your own art and also watch along at what I'm actually doing on screen if you're interested in that as well. But otherwise, we're just gonna get started on talking about today's topic, really. So, as you can see on your screen, I am doing a realistic coloured pencil drawing of a cat's eye. If you have been around my channel for a while, and if you're watching this video, then thank you very much. I'm so glad to have you here. But you would have heard me say quite a lot of times about how done I am with realism, which is, if you're unfamiliar really with art terms and things like that, I'm sure you're not if you're watching this video, but just in case, realism is a style of art and obviously it takes a lot longer than everything else that I've been doing in recent months, really. So to do realistic art, and also to do coloured pencil, specifically realistic art, it takes a very long time. So I think just for this really small, tiny thumbnail study in my sketchbook, it took me over an hour for sure, perhaps nearly 2 hours to do this. But the reason that I wanted to do this, even though the amount of times I have said on this channel about how much I don't like doing realism anymore, and how I first started taking on commissions when I first became an artist, when I first became a like when I first started getting into my coloured pencils, I started taking on commissions straight away, and I really sickened myself very quickly, because all of a sudden I was not creating for the joy of creating anymore, and I was not creating anything that I wanted to create anymore. All I was doing was painting for other people or drawing for other people, and I really fell out of love with it. And I am really good at putting myself in a box, especially when it comes to my creativity and my art. So it took me a long time to sort of get out of my realism, my realistic art mindset, and it took me quite a while to be able to loosen up and start experimenting with other mediums, because coloured pencils were always my comfort zone. They were my very first medium ever, really, to try. When I first started getting into art, all I did was coloured pencil art. I never really tried anything else. And then when I got really busy with my commissions, I definitely never tried anything else. I tried a bit of like pastels, like pan pastels, which I loved, and I used them to help me with my commission work as well. But other than that, I always wanted to try different things like watercolours and oil paints and things like that. And I just never allowed myself to do it, because I was a coloured pencil artist. And you know, I'm doing those quote fingers? I don't know what you call that, but I'm doing a lot of that in today's video because I'm just funny. I'm just stupid, I think. But anyway, when I finally allowed myself to loosen up, let go of my coloured pencils, I stopped taking on commissions after a while, really, of doing them really unhappily. And then I started experimenting with other mediums, and so I first tried watercolor, I think, and then at that point I was like, I'm a watercolor artist and I can't try any other mediums. Then I got into oil paints, and like that was the best thing, and I was an oil painter then, and then I didn't want to allow myself to try any other mediums then, because I thought, oh, this is it now, this is my one medium, my one true love. I absolutely love oil paints. Then I moved on to acrylics. I got sick of oil painting. Then I moved on to acrylics, and I thought the exact same thing. And there's a pattern here, guys. Like I definitely love to put myself into a box, and I think that might just be like really wanting a feeling of belonging when it comes to my art. Like, I follow a lot of people on Instagram, and I always have done, a lot of colour pencil artists, a lot of oil painters as well, that I just love watching them, and like they always just seem to love their medium and be super content in what they're creating and their style and their subject. And I've never felt like that. I've never felt truly content in anything that I'm creating, and if I do feel that way, it doesn't take very long before I feel really bored and I just want to move on to something different. Recently, ever since I first discovered my sketchbooks, really, so I guess this is a while ago now, about a year ago, just over, when I first discovered like sketchbooks, I started to really, not discovered sketchbooks, obviously, like I discovered sketchbooks a long time ago, but I'd never actually filled my own sketchbooks up. I was always one of those people where I'd start a sketchbook and then do a bad page in it, and then I'd never want to look at that sketchbook again. And I'm still a little bit like that, actually. Obviously, in this video, I've started another brand new sketchbook, but I start them for different purposes as well. But the reason that I'm okay with this is because I have filled up 3 sketchbooks this year so far. Obviously, I've been working in them, like some of them I've been working in for quite a long time. But I have like finished 3 sketchbooks this year. So I'm allowing myself to start a few different sketchbooks and stuff. And if you're interested in what this sketchbook is, it's the Fabriano Venezia book. I think it's Venezia. It's a lovely sketchbook. I really do like Fabriano paper, actually. I've used the watercolour paper in the past. And it's just drawing paper, so I think it's just like a cartridge paper. And I thought it would be a really ideal sketchbook to use for coloured pencils, and to try and get a bit better at my coloured pencils again, and to just practice and have a bit of fun with my pencils again. So I'm kind of putting myself on my sketchbook in a box again here, just because, you know, it's something I'm so good at doing. I love boxes, apparently, but like I'm still going to give myself the freedom to try other things in here. But I love the idea of having a full sketchbook where I just practice and use one medium in it, whether it's like on its own or if it's in conjunction with other mediums. Like perhaps I will use some pastels in this and some watercolor, as long as I use my coloured pencils as well. But I don't know, that's kind of like a side story, I guess. So back to the actual story. When I first started working in my sketchbooks and I was allowing myself to play with all different mediums and just having, you know, pure fun, not really any sort of style in mind, I really found myself more as an artist, I guess, and I really enjoyed just experimenting with all different things, all different styles. I've done a lot of abstract stuff, and luckily, and like I'm really grateful to have this now, but that entire journey has been on this channel. So it was when I very first started my first little art creation sketchbook, the little small one that I did a sketchbook tour of. When I first started, that was when I first started this channel. So all of my journey as an artist with my sketchbooks over the past nearly 2 years, I guess. Yeah, so it's been nearly 2 years since I've been sort of doing this sort of stuff. But yeah, losing my complete train of thought. This is why I don't like voiceovers, really. I'm really trying, but I only have a certain amount of time to get this done, so I can't really keep going back and forth. Anyway, when I first started working in sketchbooks and my like trying mixed media out and watching lots of lovely, really inspiring mixed media artists on YouTube, I really started to feel like I'd found myself as an artist, and I was able to just sort of sit down every day and create something and feel really good about it. But being an artist on YouTube, or just being somebody who makes YouTube videos and who wants to try and keep up with weekly YouTube videos, you start to put pressure on your work or your art. And this is not just for artists. I really think that it doesn't matter what you do, as soon as you are trying to keep on a schedule with something, or you start turning your hobby into something where you try and earn money from it, like for me, the commissions, it all went wrong for me there with my commissions because I took on too many at once. I wasn't giving myself any time to actually do any art for myself. So every time I sat down and created, it had to be the commissions. I would not let myself create anything else. I'd just make myself feel guilty about it. And the same sort of thing has started to happen with me and here on my YouTube channel. So pretty much I've let myself get so behind with making videos. Once upon a time I had lots scheduled in advance, and at the moment I just don't have that. And it's all been like a really toxic cycle, feeding each other, if that makes sense. So basically, like, because I've not had a YouTube video scheduled, then I know that I've got to make a YouTube video and I've got to get it out really quick. But I don't really feel like creating anything for my YouTube channel because I've got myself out of the habit of doing voiceover videos, and I only did like real-time audio videos, which means that I had to create something live on camera to share with you every week. And I wasn't really enjoying doing that art anymore in the past few months, I would say. So then I really didn't want to make my YouTube video, and it made me feel really like not very good about it. And so I would do my art for the YouTube video. I'd force myself to do it, and then like it total burnout, basically. Like, I do feel like I have given myself total burnout the past few months, for sure. And I've spoken about it a little bit, but I've got my paint and sip nights now as well, and that was just another thing that sort of took up a lot of brain space. So it made me not necessarily feel like doing a lot of art for myself, but I still had to do art for myself because I've got to be posting a YouTube video. So this is why the other night I sat down and I thought, I am going to go back to basics, really. I'm going to go back to the very thing that made me feel happy and excited about art in the first place. So I don't really know how this came about, if I'm honest. I've got a lot of coloured pencils, and I've got a lot of coloured pencils with me at the moment. So I'm away from home at the moment. I'm actually living in a small caravan while my family run a Halloween event in Northamptonshire. It's something we've always done for the past, I think this is the 16th year now. So every year we sort of live on this farm in caravans for a few months. And so I've only got so many art supplies here with me. I have kind of shoved a lot in different cupboards around here at the moment. So there's art supplies everywhere. But so the one thing that I did bring quite a few of was my coloured pencils, because I know they're just such an easy medium to just get out and play with. Like, you don't there's no cleanup or anything like that, you know. So I brought them with me, and I've just got this like soft spot for my pencils. I really do. And when I feel this way, I suppose this is how this came about now, actually. When I feel really burnt out or uncontent with what I'm creating, or if I just don't feel like happy with my art, I always feel like I have this yearning to go back to my coloured pencils. And often I don't go back to it because of that, like, oh, I couldn't think of anything worse than doing realism anymore, and I hate realistic art now, and like I used, you know, like that box, you know. So like this is like a limiting belief really that I've put upon myself of like, oh, I can't go back to my colour pencils because you can only really do realistic art with them. I'm I mean, that's not the truth either, is it? You can do all sorts of art with coloured pencils, but this is just because this is how I learned in the beginning. And I have also realised, like, since doing this little drawing here and really just taking the pressure off of, like, the fact of all the way I've said on this channel multiple times now about how I don't like realistic art. I used to have a podcast and we made an entire podcast episode about realism and how I think it's a bit of a curse, because once you start doing it, then it's really hard to loosen up and try anything else with your art again. So I kind of feel like I'm being a hypocrite right now by just drawing in a realistic style again. But also, like, this is just a journey, isn't it? The entire thing, this entire life of an artist is just an absolute journey, and one day you feel something and the next day you feel completely different about something. And I feel like as long as we're always being honest, not only with ourselves but also, you know, with what we post online, then it's all okay and it doesn't really matter. Because I don't want to sit here and pretend that you know, I can tell you what I'm thinking and stuff, but I don't want to sit here and, like, lie to you ever, or pretend that I'm enjoying something when I'm not, and just to try and please everybody. You know, it's just not me. I'm not like that at all. So basically, I think what I'm trying to say to you is I am quite enjoying my realism again at the moment, and that's okay. There we go. I've admitted it to myself. And I think it's just because I feel like I am dying to feel those feelings that I first felt when I first got my very first set. First. Do I want to say that again in this sentence? When I want to feel the way that I did when I first got my first set of coloured pencils. Basically, that is how I'm feeling right now. I remember the very first time I saw somebody drawing with coloured pencils, and that was that moment that everything clicked for me. And from that moment onwards, I have dedicated so much time to my art. It's like I always liked art and I've always done drawing and everything, but there was this moment, and oh God, I wish I could remember the year. I suppose it was 2016, perhaps. I was on a family holiday in Florida, and we was in Disney, in Hollywood Studios in Disney World, and we were queuing up to go into the art of animation experience. And I don't know if you've been there before or not. They don't do it in like Hollywood Studios anymore, but you used to be able to go in there and they would teach you how to draw a Disney character step by step. So you would all be sat and you'd all have your little art desks in front of you. And I remember queuing up for to go into that attraction, and there was a staff member sat down in there, and she had a tin of Prismacolor pencils, and she was drawing a picture of Princess Elsa. And I just remember watching her while we were queuing up, probably like some sort of weirdo, I'm sure, because I never actually spoke. Well, I did speak to her, actually. I said about how good her drawing was, and I sort of asked about her pencils. And I just remember she was doing a picture of Princess Elsa, and she was doing her hair all rainbow colours, and I just looked at it, and it was like, obviously it's a cartoon, isn't it? So it's not necessarily a realistic style, but she did the drawing really close and sort of realistic to Princess Elsa, if that makes sense. Anyways, the drawing was amazing, and I could not stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop thinking about the drawing. I couldn't stop thinking about the coloured pencils. And we were there on a family holiday, and my friends were there as well. And I remember the next day, my dad got up and he took me to Staples and bought me my very first set of 48 Prismacolor pencils, and I got some paper, and then literally for the rest of that holiday all I wanted to do was draw and practice my coloured pencil art. And then when I got home from there, then obviously I've always loved animals and I've always loved my dogs as well, so I wanted to learn how to draw them. And I've seen a lot of amazing realistic coloured pencil artists, and one in particular that I just fell in love with and I thought she was absolutely amazing was an artist called, or is an artist called Gemma Gylling, or Gemma Gylling. I'm not exactly sure of her name, but I'll link her website down below if you're interested in checking her out. But she had a craftsy class where she taught you how to draw pet portraits in coloured pencil, and she taught you all the techniques to be able to do a realistic style, and she taught you how to do a dog and a cat, and it started off with a cat's eye. And I remember when I very first drew that cat's eye and how amazing it made me feel, and I just felt so accomplished and proud of myself. And I've come a long way since then, you know. I've built a career really being a pet portrait artist. So when I was feeling really burnt out the other night and I just didn't know what kind of artist I wanted to be anymore, and really the past few days, honestly, this past week, I feel like I've been having or going through a bit of a dark night of the soul event when it comes to my art, because I've really felt like everything I do is just pointless and has no purpose to it. And it was just really, really nice to sit down and draw this picture, go back to the very thing that made me fall in love with art and wanting to be an artist in the first place. And I just really loved it. And since drawing this, I finally wanted to sit back down and do some art and some drawing again, and especially drawing. I've actually just bought myself, I couldn't help it, okay guys, so the Derwent Drawing 72 set of pencils. So my next video is actually going to be all about them. But yeah, I've said a lot in this video. As I've said, my voiceover skills are not really great, but I hope you've enjoyed listening and watching along anyways. I have really enjoyed this actually today, just sat here chatting to you guys. It's kind of like I've gone full circle right now. That's how it feels, you know. I haven't done voiceovers for ages. I've not done realism really for a long time, other than the commissions that I've done the past couple of years. I've done like two commissions in 2 years. I don't do commissions often anymore, and when I do, I don't necessarily enjoy them. It's just the pressure, you know. As soon as you put pressure on what you absolutely love doing, it really takes the joy out of it. And sometimes it might help you, sometimes you might enjoy it, but for me, I really don't enjoy putting pressure on my art and my practice, and it just takes the joy right out of it for me. So definitely you will be seeing a few more voiceovers from me, because I am enjoying just sort of recording my process at the moment, and I can share it with you here. But like I said, you know, this took me probably an hour and a half, I should imagine, altogether, and I've sped it right up just so I can fit it into this shorter video with you today. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to put any pressure on myself. I'm just going to record my process, share it with you, come on here and chat with you. That's what I'm going to do from now on for a little while, because it just makes way more sense, and I can actually create like more art that I want to create and share it with you, rather than just creating something for the sake of creating a video. But I hope that you feel inspired after listening to this or watching this, because honestly, if you feel the same as me and you feel like you've just really, really burnt out, then I really think you ought to listen to the feelings that are going on inside. Because for me, I had this yearning to do this little drawing of a cat's eye. That was one of my absolute favourite things to draw when I used to do a lot of realistic art, and yeah, it's all I really wanted to do. And I kept thinking, like, what is it that I want? You know, what do I actually want to do with my art right now? And that was start a new sketchbook and draw a cat's eye with my pencils. And I just absolutely loved it. And you know, the really most important thing to remember is to just enjoy the process. Remember that the joy of creating is more important than the final result, and I just can't explain how important that really is, you know? And believe me, I'm still trying to remember it myself, because sometimes you do get yourself in a negative headspace. It's so easy to do, but anyways, I guess I'll see you in the next video. I really hope you've enjoyed this one, and thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment if you've got anything to say. Bye guys.